What on, family? You know what it is and you know what it ain't. Melee All Day TV, bringing you another one. A tale of murder, a tale of revenge. Live by the gun, you die by the gun. Let's get off into it.
That's right, 3 people are dead and 4 others injured after a shooting that happened at a Boys and Girls Club in New York. This is brand new video from the scene. Officers say that someone drove by and shot out of a car. They say a large crowd has been gathering overnight near the scene. Police are searching for the suspect this morning. Live at the breaking news desk, Joshua Cole.
The 3 people who ended up losing their life, Raekwon Manigault, Johnny Johnson, and Jonah Barley. It wouldn't be until a month later, but Johnny Blackshell Jr. would be picked up on a warrant for an unrelated crime just 3 months later. In time, he would be connected to the shooting and the murders on Genesee Street. Blackshell would eventually be charged in the murder of Raekwon, Jonah, and Johnny.
Federal charges against Johnny Blackshell Jr. are in connection with an alleged armed robbery at a Lake Avenue 7-Eleven convenience store on August 4th. Authorities say a handgun was used in the robbery, where $150 and cigars were stolen. Blackshell is also charged with possessing a handgun found in a vehicle he was driving after 2 accomplices allegedly stole clothing from a store at Eastview Mall on August 24th. Blackshell is charged under the Hobbs Act relating to the effect of the robbery on interstate commerce.
7-Eleven is obviously a nationwide franchise, so the depletion of the assets, so to speak, or the taking of the assets from 7-Eleven inherently affects interstate commerce.
Can you imagine that? They really wanted this guy to be charged with an interstate crime because you robbed a local 7-Eleven, because 7-Elevens are all over America. So if you rob a Wendy's, you should get sent to the feds. They really threw the book at him.
Federal Magistrate Jonathan Feldman called the weapons charge against Blackshell complicated, as it may be connected to state charges Blackshell faces. Blackshell is charged with first-degree murder in city court in connection with the August 19th drive-by shooting of 7 people on Genesee Street. 3 died and 4 others were wounded as they left a basketball game at the Boys and Girls Club. Blackshell is accused of using an AK-47 in that shooting. Federal prosecutors declined to comment on any connection between the Genesee Street incident and the 7-Eleven robbery.
A lot of the times we'll see an indictment that may include some of the same complained of conduct on the state charge, but under a different theory, under a federal law. Brings in the issue of double jeopardy and things like that, and those are some things that we'll look at very closely as the case progresses.
Some believe federal authorities are being more aggressive in their robbery case against Blackshell because of his ties to the Genesee Street murders.
In this particular case, it's not just the robbery of the store, but also the fact that at the time of the crime, one of the perpetrators had a firearm and used the firearm during the robbery. So there are aggravating factors, and Mr. Blackshell has a record that subjects him over here to increased penalties.
Blackshell returns to federal court October 27th.
In the mug shot, he's all thugged out. He got braids and ain't shaved, but then when he come into court, he look like a nerd. Shaved, hair braided real tight, put some glasses on, make your hair look nice. Now, when you see this guy in the interview, his attorney, would you want to put your life in his hands? Because you out here in these streets, thug lifing it, going for bad, 3 life sentences, if convicted? Yeah. Look at his attorney. Look how he looks. I wouldn't want my hands in this guy's life. You know he don't care about Blackshell Jr.
Challenges.
Fettering that out during their testimony, it's going to be up for the jury to decide issues of credibility and whether or not people can be believed in this case.
Blackshell's attorney, Joe D'Amelio. Now, we heard no comment today from prosecutors who were leaving this case. At one point today, we were told that there might be a possibility of gaining access to that video that was shown in court today. However, the prosecution objected. Judge Douglas Randall reconsidered based on concerns over the fact that there are still two more people who will stand trial separately for murder in this case.
Black Shell Jr. was eventually tried and convicted on 3 counts of first-degree murder. He was given 3 consecutive life sentences. His life is over. 2 more defendants will be picked up and charged later with the same charges. Jalen Jamal Everett will be charged with 3 counts of second-degree murder. Also, Michael Mathis was the 3rd person to be charged and tried. On November 6, 2016, Jalen Everett was convicted of first-degree murder and assault charges. Although he didn't pull the trigger, prosecutors said he was riding in the car. Check it out. Black Shell and Everett were convicted of second-degree murder. Notice now he got on glasses too. See, them lawyers be slick. Conning you, here, put these glasses on. Yeah, we're gonna give him a good look. The jury ain't buying that. Man. However, prosecutors say Everett didn't pull the trigger, but was in the car which dozens of shots were fired from.
Time Warner Cable News reporter Micah Dean has been covering this trial. He joins us now from the Hall of Justice with an update. Mike?
Well, Alex, guilty is the verdict on 3 counts of second-degree murder and 3 counts of assault for Jalen Everett for his role in the killing of 3 people outside the Boys and Girls Club in August 2015. Everett was found not guilty on 3 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of assault. Everett was convicted in the shooting deaths of Raekwon Manigault, Jonah Barley, and Johnny J.R. Johnson. They were with a group of others who had just left the basketball game at the Boys and Girls Club and were gunned down by a drive-by shooting. 4 others were injured. Now, the jury found Everett acted recklessly, thus the second-degree murder conviction.
It's even though I think he deserved first degree, but as long as he was found guilty, he has to know what he done was wrong. The reason I think he should have got first degree is because he initiated the whole thing, the whole attack, but at least he got something.
You've got witnesses coming back in who testified at the first trial, and obviously that's always nerve-wracking for anybody to have to do it more than one time. Certainly the type of evidence we had was not the same. It was a circumstantial case against Mr. Everett. I'm glad the jury was able to parse through all that and come to the decision they did.
I hope this is a lesson to your friends. They all seen this. You guys seen this. Wake up. Learn to love. Why is there so much hate? Why is there so much hate? I yet to understand this.
Johnny Blackshell was convicted earlier this year of first-degree murder. For his role, he's serving 3 life sentences. Michael Mathis goes on trial in January. Everett will be sentenced January 6th. He faces 25 years to life in prison. The prosecution will ask that those sentences run consecutively. Alex?
You won't believe what happened next. Check it out. Now, just a month later, after celebrating, the family's got bad news from the judge. Based on a technicality, the case was overturned. One of the jurors exhibited racist behavior.
The jury found Jalen Everett guilty of 3 counts of second-degree murder on November 4th. Now, the presiding judge in this case has set aside that verdict, according to Everett's attorney, Clark Zimmerman. The Monroe County District Attorney's Office said the decision was apparently based upon events allegedly occurring during jury deliberations. In a statement, District Attorney Sandra Dorley said in part, quote, "When the issue was first brought to our attention, we were prohibited from investigating the alleged improprieties due to a gag order which was imposed by the court. More importantly, we were unable to advise the victims' families of today's proceedings. Nothing would indicate that a full and fair inquiry could not have been conducted prior to today's decision. At the very least, a fact-finding hearing with a full and fair inquiry should have occurred." That gag order was lifted Thursday, and that's when the victims' families were informed.
I was shocked. I said, "Are you serious? Are you serious?" I couldn't stop saying, "Are you serious?" And she was feeling the same exact way.
Everett was charged in the drive-by shooting along with 2 other men. Johnny Blackshell was convicted earlier this year of first-degree murder charges. He's serving 3 life sentences. Michael Mathis is expected to go on trial in January. Raekwon Manigault, Jonah Barley, and Johnny J.R. Johnson were shot and killed as they left a basketball game at the Boys and Girls Club. Barley's mother believes it's a little late for a jury issue to come to light.
They asked them individually, is this your verdict? Each one said yes. Now you come back after all this is over to humiliate us and for the judge to be able to say, okay, I'm dismissing this whole trial? What is this, a game?
Richard Barley says he applauds the juror for coming forward with a potential issue. He agrees with his wife this should have been addressed before the verdict was rendered.
There were 4 alternates that could have stepped in and took this one juror's place who was biased or what have you.
Richard Barley says he's angry with Judge Randall, not only his decision to set aside the verdict, but also in the way he presided over the trial.
A lot of the evidence that was in the first trial, they wouldn't allow. We don't know why. We haven't been given any explanation on why that happened. So it's very difficult.
The district attorney's office says it's conducting its own investigation and plans to take whatever action is deemed appropriate. Mike Adine, Time Warner Cable News.
One man convicted, a second man convicted, and then he walks. Devastating to the family. They put their faith in the legal system, and it didn't work. And he walks on a technicality. Could you believe that? Could you believe that? But there was still one to go. Michael Mathis still stood trial to come. But you won't believe what happened. This is what people said George Zimmerman should have went through. Check it out.
Now on that breaking news, we've been following a shooting in Rochester. 4 people have been injured. The scene is at the intersection of Genesee Street, Dr. Samuel McCree Way, and Kirkland Road. That's where we find Time Warner Cable News reporter Tara Grimes. She rejoins us now from the scene. Tara, what's the update?
Well, Casey, details are still very limited at this point, but police tell us the shooting happened just outside the Aki Mini Mart, just across the street from where I'm standing. Police say a 27-year-old man was shot in the upper body and has serious injuries, but they are not considered life-threatening. A 34-year-old man and 2 32-year-old men were shot in the lower body, and we're told all of their injuries are not believed to be life-threatening. Police tell us the victims are all Rochester residents, and all of them were transported to Strong Memorial Hospital. At this time, police say they're speaking to witnesses and reviewing video, including blue light camera video, to find out exactly what happened. They can't tell us how many shots were fired, but tell us there were multiple. They also can't say what kind of gun was used. I did speak to a witness down the street visiting a nearby business who tells me he heard 2 shots and then a few minutes later heard the sirens of first responders. Now we're told that there are no suspects in custody at this time, but we will of course continue to update you on the story as soon as we get more information. Casey?
All right, we look forward to it. Time Warner Cable News reporter Tara Grimes in Rochester for us tonight.
Jalen Everett was one of those unidentified shooting victims police would later learn. Gunned down on Genesee Avenue, right across the street from where the drive-by took place. His conviction was overturned, but street justice saw otherwise, allegedly. Check it out.
Not too far from where he was shot, family and friends gathered to remember 24-year-old Jalen Everett.
The boy could dance his butt off, you know what I mean? You know, he was an artist, he was a rapper. You know, he was just a human. That's all I could say. He was a human being.
Everett was shot near Dewey Avenue Saturday night. He later died at the hospital. Everett was one of 3 that stood trial for the murders of Raekwon Manigault, Jonah Barley, and Johnny J.R. Johnson. They were all shot as they left the Boys and Girls Club on Genesee Street in 2015. Everett was acquitted, as was Michael Mathis. Johnny Blackshell was convicted in that case.
No matter how people felt about Jalen, no matter what his past, that's still somebody's son.
His cousin Camille McIntyre grew up with Jalen. She says he was a family man who recently welcomed a newborn son.
Pray for the mother of his children. Pray for his 2 sons, you know, that will grow up without him, because in their eyes, he was their hero. You know, he did everything for those boys.
And while McIntyre believes he may have been targeted for the crime he was acquitted of, she asked the community to handle hate differently.
No matter your anger, No matter how you feel, no matter if you think it's karma, we all have some type of karma, but nobody deserves to be snatched out like this.
At a briefing with reporters, Interim Rochester Police Chief LaRon Singletary asked the community not to draw on any speculation about the motive of the homicide, adding Everett's death is still very much under investigation and is asking for no one to take matters into their own hands.
What we want to be able to do is focus on the task at hand. We want to be able to investigate what occurred yesterday on Dewey Avenue. And for those individuals who believe that they maybe want to become involved in future acts of retaliatory violence, let us handle it. Let the police department do its job, make the arrests, and do so accordingly.
A message McIntyre echoes.
We have to come to a place where we handle our anger different. You know, the first thing we do is we pick up a gun. Because, you know, the street code is you live by it, you die by it. But we have to figure out how to do it better.
In Rochester, Andrew Freeman, Spectrum News.
Michael Mathis' case was overturned as well, and he walked out of the courtroom a very cocky, free man, infuriating the families. Check it out.
Let me hop in that car, man. Let me hop in that V, man. That's where y'all can stop the interview at. All right, man. Put your head down. What's up? There you go. Yep.
With Everett losing his life and Blackshell serving 3 life sentences, it appeared that Mathis was going to be the last man standing. But that would all come to an end in February 2023. Mathis was gunned down in a parking lot, and no one was charged, just like in the murder of Everett. You live by the gun, you die by the gun. I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong, but that's what happens when you're a street guy. Check it out.
The man murdered on East Avenue over the weekend was one of the suspects acquitted in the triple murder outside the Boys and Girls Club almost a decade ago. The police won't say if revenge for the Boys and Girls Club murders was the motive.
They say, though, it is possible. But they also say it's possible it was a simple argument that was settled with a gun. Police say Michael Mathis was murdered in a parking lot on East Avenue late Saturday night. Chief Investigative Reporter Berkeley Breen confirmed it's not the first time someone has tried to kill him. Burke?
Deanna, since he was found not guilty in the triple murder outside the Boys and Girls Club, Michael Mathis has been stabbed, shot at, and Saturday night killed.
Michael Mathis was shot and killed in the parking lot at East Avenue and Union Street. Police don't think Mathis or the shooter had come from any of the East End bars. One of the people Mathis was accused of killing outside the Boys and Girls Club in 2015 was Johnny Johnson. I spoke with his mother on Zoom today.
And the fact that it's Michael Matthew will never negate the fact that there will be another and another, just like there was from my son Johnny Ray Johnson, because there's a failure on the part of this country. This current White House is working, but it is not important enough to them to stop the gun violence that is running rampant in our country.
We back, my brother back home, we back.
In 2016, the Mathis family celebrated after Mathis was found not guilty in the triple murders. 3 years later, Mathis survived a stabbing in a bar in Henrietta, and the attacks continued.
There was an attempt on Michael Mathis's life right here on Dewey Avenue in 2020, but the bullets from the drive-by shooting missed him and hit an innocent bystander, killing him.
That victim was Dakota Podlaski. The shooter was Jeremiah Barley, the brother of one of the 3 victims of the Boys and Girls Club murders. Since then, we haven't heard about other acts of violence against Mathis until Saturday night.
This thing will touch, and it will continuously touch everyone and anyone, because this is how sickening it's getting.
Another one of the Boys and Girls Club suspects who was found not guilty was murdered in 2019. Police say they don't have any suspects in the Mathis murder in custody. Deanna?
It's crazy, family. 6 people lost their life to gun violence and 1 to prison. And for what? And for what? This is going on all across America. Young folks wake up playing with these guns, taking people's lives like it ain't nothing, and then you turn around and lose your own life. Families devastated, mothers traumatized, fathers hearts broken, children losing parents. This gotta end, y'all. It's Melee all day, and I'm bringing you real content. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video, because we need to get this out. We need to stop the violence. We need to be contributing more to society. That's what I'm on. Love, positivity. And I'm bringing you real stories from the streets. Real stories that'll pull at your heartstrings. Death, murder, killing, drug dealing. We need to get up away from that. It's Melee all day, and I'm gone.